Good morning, truckers. I'm Josh Jones. 7 new victims were found last night in the Grayson Cemetery, the newest slayings of the Clintonville slasher. Wait, hold on. It's just in. We have a video, apparently, of the Clintonville slasher, but I must warn you, viewer discretion is advised. It looks like we found his last victim. My name is Lurch Frankenrocks, and I hide in the shadows of this small town. And you are my latest victim. I am the Clintonville Slasher. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Clintonville Slasher. Tonight, I'm joined by a very special guest, Kevin Courville. Welcome, sir. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Yeah, how's it going?
Great to be here. Oh, not too bad. Just got off work, came straight home. Looking to unwind with this.
Nice. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Kevin.
Well, I've been a horror fanatic since I was an infant. My dad pretty much brought us up on horror movies. My brother actually snuck me in with his friends. They were having a horror marathon when I was like 3 years old, and took me in and just let me watch all kinds of great movies. The Exorcist, the Nightmare on Elm Street series, let's see, The Graveyard Shift. They even acted out and watched Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Nice.
Recently, I say maybe like the past 3 or 4 years, I've been getting into horrorpunk a lot, like listening to it, trying to help promote it, do what I can to get words out for bands and share where I can on social media.
Yeah,
but
you do an amazing job at it too.
I just love it. And right now, I'm trying to get a magazine together. I'm hoping to release it at the end of this month, called We Are Horrorpunk. And like the front, I have an idea for the cover. I think you've seen an earlier draft for it.
Yeah, I have.
But I'm trying to do what I can to promote the scene as much as I can.
Right. That's awesome, man. That's very cool. Yeah, I've seen the cover. I'm excited for the magazine. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for it.
I hope.
Yeah, so that kind of answers my first question, but what got you into punk rock?
You see, here's the thing. When I was younger, I didn't get punk. I really did. And now, looking back on it now, I'm like, I was into that when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Classic rock. He wasn't into punk rock. My brother was into metal, thrash, and the new waves of metal that were coming out. Neither one of them were into punk. They were my main influences. But when I got into adult friends on Facebook, that got me into the horror pages on Facebook. And I ended up becoming friends with members of another page. They were actually in a horror punk band called the Kast. And they were like, dude, you never heard of horror punk? I'm like, oh, I never have. So they introduced me. Like, the first thing they did was send me the music video for The Other Lover's Lane.
Ooh, that's a good song.
That was what introduced me to horror punk. I was like, oh, dude, why have I not heard anything like this?
Right.
And then they started going with Misfits and Ballistic Kid, Mr. Monster, and just had me go through, like, the whole motion, making sure I listened to as many people as possible.
Right.
And eventually I ended up on Frank and Hooker.
Look, yeah. Man. The Other is a great song. That other song is an amazing song. I love Lover's Lane. That's a great song. It's a great band.
Oh, absolutely. Thorsten Wilms, freaking beast.
Oh, I agree. 100%. Okay, so if you could put together your ideal show, you're in charge of everything. Who are, like, let's say you have 10 bands and you could put together your ideal show. Who are you putting together?
Man, that is like the hardest question to answer.
I've struggled with this one myself too.
There's so many people I just want for like a huge 7-day fest.
Oh yeah, I know.
That's what I would want, but just for a 10-band show, that would hurt. But obviously, my headliner has to be the other. Like,
Okay.
they have to be number one for me. They were the ones that got me into it. My favorite song in horror punk is Ode to Darkness by the Other.
Oh, good
So
song.
they would have to be number one. They'd have to headline. Opening, I'd need Frankenhooker and Sejlock.
I'll be there.
Them opening because
I'll be there.
they are like two of the purest punk bands
Oh, stop.
in the horror punk scene. Because
Stop.
like most of them are like heavy metal or hard rock or pop punk, but Frankenhooker and Sejlock are the purest punk
Stop.
horror punk bands out there.
Thank you.
So I need them start. Leading up from that, I think the ladies need some representation.
Absolutely.
And this is where I'm going to have 3 of them back to back. I need Jessa Lantern for the latest one. Before her, I need Chesty Malone and the Slice 'em Ups.
Fuck yes.
And before them, I need the Mary Lou.
Oh, God, this show's sounding amazing already.
Oh, dude. And, okay, so that leaves 4 left. I'd need Silent Horror.
Oh,
Then following them, the Lurking Corpses. And then, let's see. After them, I'd need Siblings of Samhain
ooh.
at third from last. And right before the headliner, I'd need the Casket Creatures.
Nice. That sounds like a fucking awesome show.
Oh, dude, man. Every single one of those bands I mentioned, I do not skip any of their songs on my playlist. Like, if they're on my playlist, they play. I do not skip them.
You named some fucking awesome bands. Except, you named that band Frankenhooker. I don't know if I'd trust that lead singer guy. He's got weird chops. I don't know if
That's why I put them first.
So when they fuck up, they can get out of there. Let's see here. Oh, here. Okay, this is a stumpy question. This is one I asked last time. But you're stuck on a deserted island, all right? And you can only take one band with you. Who are you taking?
Take one band with me that I need. This is going to sound like a completely creepy answer, but I'd have to say Jessa Lantern because she's acoustic. She doesn't need electric.
I do. I just started recently getting into her stuff, and I really like it. I really, really enjoy that.
Because I'm like, everybody's going to be like, oh, he's just picking her because she's hot. No, it's not just because she's hot. It's because she doesn't require electricity to sound awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That's a good choice. Let's see here. What is your favorite horror film?
That is going to be harder to narrow down to my favorite horror punk songs.
Yeah.
Because I say it's this one because it was the first one I ever watched. I watched it with my dad. Was Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Ooh.
My dad always had this thing with any kind of movie we watch, be it violent movies, sexually grotesque movies. He preferred to watch them with us because he would rather him watch it with us and he could teach us right from wrong than watching it with a friend that would teach us fun from gore.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Like my dad seen that as the ultimate opportunity to watch all of his favorite horror movies, which, no way, I'd have to take that back. The first one I watched with him was Predator.
Oh, that's my ultimate favorite horror movie of all time.
And that's when I could open my eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when I'd watch that one. It was just a brilliant. fucking movie. I mean, everybody
yeah.
sees it
I mean,
as
and that like the Predator is my ultimate favorite horror movie. I mean, because you've got Arnold, and Arnold at the time is making all these action films, and this is the first time he makes one that's actually a fucking horror movie. And it's not just a horror movie; it's a fucking amazing horror movie.
I know, because if you think it's something that scares the shit out of Arnold.
Yeah.
This guy was like bare shirted against freaking armies in his other movies.
Right.
And now he's like,
right, and he's running scared. That's what makes it so good, because now he's facing an enemy that's twice his size. Then he has to actually physically fight, and that's what makes it fucking scary.
I'm just so glad they abandoned the Van Damme idea for that movie.
Van Damme was supposed to play that part?
Yeah, Van Damme was originally slated to play the Predator, and it was supposed to be a martial arts style Predator. Jesus. But they seen it as not feasible. There was problems with Van Damme on set because he was complaining about the costume.
Right.
That he wasn't paid enough, so they dropped it, and they went with the helicopter pilot at the end, Kevin Peter Hall, to play a huge hulking Predator.
The alien, yeah. And he did an amazing job. He was also Harry and the Hendersons. He was also, yeah. He was setting something else too.
He was a few other characters too.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he was just phenomenal for a big guy. He was also the sheriff on Highway to Hell.
I've never seen that.
Oh, dude, it was a B-rated movie from either the late '80s or early '90s. And this guy is supposed to be like a hell sheriff or a hell priest, drives this highway and steals this guy's girlfriend and takes her on the highway to hell. And the only way he can get there is if he believes, and he's got to fight this guy. He's like 7 feet tall to get his girl back. I'm like, it's bonkers. Like Return of the Living Dead bonkers.
Fuck.
But it's entertaining all the same.
I've never seen that. I've never even heard about it. I'm going to have to check that out.
But, yeah, he was on that one, too.
All right, well, it brings me to my next. So we know your favorite one. What's your worst favorite horror movie? Like what's the worst horror movie you've ever seen?
This one, I don't know if you've heard of. I've made mention of it many times on Facebook, because you always get on Facebook these posts where they're like, what is the worst horror movie ever? And there's people throwing The Exorcist.
Right.
There's people throwing Nightmare. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck down right now. I will tell you what, in my opinion, because I've seen it, the worst horror movie ever is called Serial Insane Clown Killer.
Oh, Jesus.
Or S-I-C-K.
That sounds terrible.
Have you ever seen that?
No, I have not. I've never heard about it.
Like, as bad as the voice acting is for Resident Evil 1,
okay,
that's how bad the physical acting is for Serial Insane Clown Killer. Like, and I think it's just all over bad. And me and my sister watched it just by chance. We seen it at a movie gallery, we rented it, and it just looked like a sick, freaking awesome cover for the movie. We get it home, like, the nudity is bad. Like, the nudity is terrible. We Mystery Science Theater 3000 the entire fucking thing as we were watching it. Like, the killer is chasing this girl through the woods, and we see her running, and the guy's just walking slowly behind her, trying to catch her. And after a while, we just see her running. We're like, oh man, this guy is just like chasing her for nothing. She's probably got beef jerky in her pocket. It gets to a point where she's just running by herself, like there's nobody behind her. We're like, oh man, he must have gave up. Then he appears behind a tree, and my sister said, nope, she still got that beef jerky in her pocket. Like, we couldn't help but make fun of this movie because it's so fucking terrible. Like, when you watch it, you'll be like, dude, this is so bad.
Oh man, I think the worst horror movie I've ever seen is called The Legend of Quilt Face.
I heard about that one, and I heard about how bad it is. I haven't been able to find it.
You give me your address, I'll send you it. I paid it. I got it for free, and I still paid too much money for that thing. It's a piece of shit.
It cost you like much time.
Yeah, I put it on, and me and my wife watched it together, and we made it through the whole thing. But the whole time we were looking at each other, what the fuck is going on? So it's weird because it starts off like in these two people are like doing it in like a rock quarry, and like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Please excuse me. And so it's like these two people like doing it in a rock quarry, and it's supposed to take place in this desert, but it's still the same rock quarry. Like they shot it in one spot. And every time they move the camera, it's like they just move like they pan the camera left, but every time they do it, they move the back shot where there's like this fucking shack in the back, and they keep moving it in different directions, so it looks like you can still see the same fucking highway that's like 10 feet away. It's like the only way awful.
Like the only way the cinematography could have been any worse is if they did PowerPoint swipe.
Right?
Not at the Star Wars prequels.
Right? Oh, I agree with that. Yeah, it's fucking bad. Terrible. Let's see here. So 80s or versus 90s horror, which is the genre you're picking?
It's sad because a lot of my favorites are in the 80s, but 90s horror went for that more psychological thriller,
yeah,
which I was more a fan of, but I can't help but love the 80s horror genre, like as a whole.
It really is like the birthplace of the slasher films, you know. I mean, you got so many. Is
pretty much what got me started on.
I know, blood and guts all the way.
So, yeah, I'd have to go with 80s
yeah.
horror, even though my love for 90s horror is still there.
Yeah.
But man, it's like what the 80s did, the 90s tried to take and refine it. Like the slasher genre, they came out with Scream. The psychological horror, they came out with stuff like Insomnia. With,
yeah. Or Silence of the Lambs, you know?
But then they had the paranormal, where it's actually Bram Stoker's Dracula, the classics coming back. And people shit on this one. But I can't, because I think, honestly, it's one of my favorite horror movies, but people don't like it, is the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Robert De Niro as the creature.
I love that one. I love that movie.
I love it because they made him the patchwork Frankenstein's creature.
Right.
It's not like, it's just an animated corpse anymore. Like, no, he's like a patchwork man.
Yeah.
Like the novel intended.
And it followed the book pretty well too. It didn't stray away from the book too far at all.
Produced, and the cinematography was great.
It's great. Yeah, Robert De Niro killed it too.
A bit. I know it deviated a bit from the story, but I really liked what they did.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. I'd have to say my favorite 90s movie of all time is probably Misery.
Misery was so fun. It was so good.
It's my favorite book. That's my favorite Stephen King book. I'm a huge Stephen King fanatic. My first band was called Annie Wilkes. So, yeah. I have a soft spot.
Side to there.
What's that?
That's got to have a sentimental side to it.
Yeah. I'd have to say it's not my first Stephen King book, but it's my favorite. That trumps it. That trumps The Dark Tower, The Gunslinger. That trumps almost every book I've ever read. That book, and even like other books like Tom Clancy and J.K. Rowling and stuff the other stuff I've read. But that book is my favorite book. I hold that book and compare it to every other book. So
that's understandable.
That's an amazing story. And Kathy Bates fucking killed that role. There was nobody else.
James Caan. Can you name somebody that did that good in that movie?
Right.
Shit, even the bed frame acted good in that
movie. Right? Right? And they had an awesome director, too. And they've been talking about remaking it, but who the fuck? I think if they remake that movie, they should just bring Annie Wilkes back.
Yeah, just bring Kathy Bates back.
Yeah, why not? It would be fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah. But who are they going to get to play James Caan?
Charlie Hunnam.
That's probably who they're going to get.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
When they saw
Hollywood had the problem with people not being pretty.
Yeah.
Because I noticed they did that for the Rocky Horror Picture Show remake. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I had no problem with the the lady who played Frankenfurter. My problem was they had Meatloaf play Eddie in the original. Why did they need to get a pretty guy to play Eddie in the remake? Like, they could have had just the guy that... I'm trying to remember his name.
Adam Lambert?
Well, no, I'm trying to think of somebody else to play him, not Adam Lambert.
Yeah, Adam Lambert is the one who played him.
Adam Lambert would have played him, but there was a guy who won American Idol one year.
That's Adam Lambert. That's Adam Lambert.
And I wish he would have played Meatloaf. But
Who?
I'm like, man, it's like Hollywood has a problem with people not being pretty. Like, if you're not pretty, you can't be in a lead role.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is fucked.
I do
Because
too.
there's no realism to that.
Exactly.
Like, you know the one person that's going to survive is the ugly motherfucker that the creature's not going to chase or not try to fuck. So please put ugly people in horror movies again.
Right?
We will survive.
Yeah. Right. We will survive. I'll make it. I'll be fine. I'm ugly as fuck. Well, so let's go back to when you were a kid. What was your favorite Halloween costume growing up?
My favorite Halloween costume as a kid. I gotta think about that one. I haven't really dressed as different things because, like, my first Halloween I got to dress up for, I was a Ninja Turtle. After that, I had a ninja costume I wore for like 6 years consecutively.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, I was a zombie. I was a soldier, and I was a serial killer.
A serial killer?
Yeah.
Would you dress up like a cereal box?
My favorite one was my zombie costume when I was 13 because I actually had like wounds. I dyed my skin light. I went full swing for that costume. Like, I had everything planned out, and I had the zombie walk. I did not run. Good memory. I walked for it all. I didn't believe in like the rage zombies. I was still Resident Evil 2.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite zombie movie?
Favorite zombie movie? It's funny. It's grown a lot more on me recently because I watched it once when I was a kid. I didn't get to watch it again until I was an adult. Return of the Living Dead is really growing on me.
Mm.
But my favorite zombie movie before that was City of the Living Dead by Lucio Fulci.
I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it. I've never seen it, though.
In America, it was called The Gates of Hell.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. In America, it was called The Gates of Hell, but originally it was called City of the Living Dead in Italy, and it was mind-blowing. It had the, like, grotesque-looking zombies before, like, George Romero had a good idea for his, but his were in black and white, and the zombies were just, like, slightly aged people. Lucio Fulci had, like, potted plant zombies that emerged from, like, mud. They were completely grotesque awesome. And blood, like, curdled and everything. So I thought that was, like, the perfect zombie before we had stuff like Return of the Living Dead and, all these other movies that, like, tried to copy that formula. I'm like, that's where it started with these kind of zombies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd have to say that probably my favorite, and this predates, like, 28 Days Later, 28 Weekers, but it was, I can't remember, it's like Automation Transfusion. The one with the half zombie on the front of the cover. And now, that's my favorite. It's B-rated, and the acting is absolutely garbage, but that's the first time I ever seen zombies run. Like, this predates, 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, before I even saw it. That movie may have came out afterwards, after those movies, but I didn't see those movies yet. So when I saw those zombies run, it was the most fucking terrifying thing I've ever fucking seen in my life, because I'd fuck my zombie dreams up forever. That's not cool. They're not supposed to fucking run.
You think that's scary, but if you watch, you have watched The Gates of Hell?
I haven't, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. If you think that's scary, You know what they got in this one?
Mm-mm.
Teleporting zombies.
What the fuck?
Teleporting zombies.
That's not good.
Like, you run. You get as far away from them because whenever they're right there, they're just like slow walking. But they just teleport like right where you are. And you're like, fuck.
Son of a bitch.
I'm like, fuck that. Okay, I got one question for you, though, while we're at a little bit of break here.
Sure.
What's your favorite bad movie? Like, it's critically panned. Not a lot of people liked it. But you constantly go back to this movie because there's something about it that you just really love about it.
That's a fucking good question. Bad movie. That.
It has to actually be a bad movie. It can't be like those guys on Facebook putting a good movie just saying.
It's a goddamn good question, man. I honestly don't know. I mean, I know movies that people would think is lame because I'm actually my wife who loves old time classic movies. I'd never seen Gone with the Wind before, and I actually really really like that movie. That was a really good movie. Wizard of Oz. So I think like my one movie that I like that no one else would like was probably Smoky Mountain Christmas. My wife and I watch it every year. Smoky Mountain Christmas or White Christmas. Yes, both of those are like, oh my god, he's a horror fan, but he likes those Christmas movies. I actually truly love both of those movies. I watch them every year.
Oh, me too. I love a lot of older movies because there was something about the time and the limitations with either practical special effects, cinematography, that they just had to make the best with what they had.
Right.
And I do love that about that. But me, my favorite movie that is considered terrible would have to be The Monster Club with Vincent Price and John Carradine.
I've never seen that either.
It's on Amazon Prime. If you got a chance, I just went ahead and bought it because I love it. And people don't like it, but honestly, I think they need to remake it because it is bad. Like the whole thing is, the premise of it is a vampire is dying because he hasn't drank in weeks. So Arthur lets him drink from him to sustain him for a little while. So in return, he brings him to a club called the Monster Club.
Okay.
And it's filled with people in really bad rubber masks. The music and the acting is cheesy inside the club, except for Vincent Price and John Carradine. They are phenomenal.
Well, yeah.
With their conversations back and I mean, it's John Carradine and fucking Vincent
Price, yeah. I mean, how could it make a bad movie?
Conversation with that. But there's a speech at the end of that movie, and I think everybody needs to hear it. They could sit through the entire movie. They could even love the stories inside the movie. Because I think the stories are great. They're just badly done.
Mm-hmm.
With that speech at the end, I think everybody needs to hear it.
What's the speech at the end?
Okay, at the end of the movie, he tries to option the writer for membership in the Monster Club. And all the monsters are protesting that option because they're wondering, what can he do? Vincent Price turns to him and says, what can he do? Are you aware that in the last 50 years, humans have exterminated 150 million of their own kind? No expense has been spared in this endeavor, and all of their approaches deserve our utmost attention. And he starts listing off everything that has caused death amongst humans. And he says they've done all this without a fang, a claw, or even a whistle worth noting about. They invented guns, knives, tanks, missiles, nuclear weapons, and motor cars. And he's just like telling them, like, if they could do all this, we should be honored to have a human in the Monster Club. They are considered the greatest monsters of all. And I'm like,
damn. That's
I'm dropped.
Yeah. Damn. It's called the Monster Club?
Before the mic dropped.
It's called the Monster Club?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna write that down. Add it to my watch list.
I don't think you're going to be disappointed with that one.
I don't think so either. Anything with Vincent Price in it has got to be good. It's got to be good.
Because I think if they remade it, this would be the perfect time.
Yeah.
Because there were actual bands in the Monster Club playing real music.
Really?
This would be the perfect time to get horror punks in that shit.
That's a good idea. That's a goddamn good idea.
Hollywood, make it happen.
You heard it here first. So, what's next for you, Kevin? What do you got going on next?
Next, mainly just trying to get that magazine together, because one thing I'm trying to do for it is the first issue, I'm not charging anything for advertisements for any horror punk bands. I want to put as many horror punk bands advertised in there, their Spotify, their merch links, their Facebook pages, to where anybody can follow them. I want to have all of them on there with QR codes. I mean, it's not hard to generate a QR code. I just want to put like the band name, a picture of the band, and QR codes and links to their profiles, their music, their merch. Give them a little helping hand, and maybe for the next issue, I'll charge like, $5 a mag.
Right.
And, just doing anything I can to promote the scene. I wish I could get bands over here in my hometown, but right now the only band in my hometown, they don't even perform anymore. And the closest one is like 3.5 hours away.
Bummer.
In my home state. And I'm like,
that sucks.
Sucks.
Well, I want to say thank you for all that you're doing for Horror Punks. You promote a lot, and I don't know if anybody ever takes the time to say thank you. So from me to you, man, thank you so much. You do a lot for everybody, and I really appreciate it, man.
They say it all the time, but each time they say it, I say right back, no thank you, because sometimes the tunes are the only things that are keeping us moving, and we can't thank you guys enough.
Wow. That means a lot, man. Thank you very much.
No tears!
So where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook. They can find me in my backyard most of the time. Either working or doing something. Let's see. Not really active on TikTok. I'm mainly looking around TikTok and just finding stuff for people to react to. And I'm in most of the horror punk groups on Facebook, just trying to put word out for everybody. When somebody's got new merch or a new song coming out, I try to share that as much as I can. And just share the love of horror movies, books, games.
Fuck yeah, man.
I try to do all of it.
Well, you won't have to go look too far for Kevin's links, because they'll be dropped right in the description box below, along with all the Horror Punks links, so you can find them there. They'll drop right in the links below. You can check it out. Give Kevin some love. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Kevin. Don't go anywhere. I got a few more questions to ask you. But everybody else, if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your mom. Tell you love them. And until next time, I'm Lurch Frankie Wilkes, and you have watched the Clintonville Slasher. Cheers. Cheers. See you next time.